if I had a brick and mortar shop, it would have been very, very difficult to pull this off because it's been raining cat and dog since morning. I mean, it's about 3:15 p.m. and it's still raining. You know, if I had a brick and mortar shop, for sure I would have been worried at this time because, you know, when it's raining, weather is so bad, nobody wants to actually go out, you know, and start to shop for computers. This is the beautiful thing, and sometimes it really makes me very, very grateful because, come to think of it, if not for eBay, how are we going to be able to sell our items, our computers, our laptops? Doesn't matter what you sell, whenever the weather is so bad, you know. When the weather is bad, nobody wants to go out. And if the weather is bad 3 days a week, that will mean that you're going to receive very little traffic to your brick and mortar shop. And in that way, you're not able to meet your target in terms of the amount of sales you have imagined that you make in a week. But this is where eBay actually is doing a very good job for us. You know, it doesn't matter the weather, if it's sunny, if it's snowy, if it is raining all day long like today, it doesn't matter. eBay is still going to do its job. It's going to guarantee you traffic to your shop. And if you have good items actually listed there, you are going to sell them, and you're going to sell them for the amount you are determined to sell them. I've had a very beautiful day today. As of today, I'm just trying to log on to my eBay to see what have sold and what we are going to do today. Basically, it's just packing some few items. But up to this point, we've had a Lenovo ThinkCentre M920Q selling. It's a tiny PC sold via promoted listing, which is kind of good. If you are not promoting your items, please make sure to do that because it's a discussion that has been on for a very, very long time. Some people don't see the need why they should, but I kind of imagine, having done a lot of tests, I feel like if you promote your listings, it stands a better chance to actually sell. So I just go ahead, promote all my listings so that I do not, you know, in any case, you want to also do what the competition is doing. This is what I always preach on this channel. If you sell in a particular category and you see that everybody in that category is promoting their items, please go ahead and promote yours. Yes, it might be difficult sometimes because you might not have a lot of meat left on the bone at the end of the day because the profits you have actually left, haven't paid all your costs, might be very, very little, but like I always say, this is something you have to prepare for before you even go ahead to buy the item, you know. Making money on eBay always starts from the point you actually give out money, you know, to buy a particular item. This is where you can actually decide your profit, not having bought a lot of items. You bought the item so expensive, and now you suddenly realize that, oh, how am I going to make profit on this item? The profit-making process actually starts from you buying the item. We have a Fujitsu P757 selling, which is also a very decent sale. It's a PC I had for quite a few weeks. This, I would say, is really, really fast because sometimes it's typical for PCs to do with you for like 1 or 2 months. It's very, very typical because buying a PC on eBay is not just comparable to someone buying a little item. These are expensive items, and people tend to want to make very good budget for it. And whenever they go ahead to buy things, they also want to have the best. So it's typical for a PC to actually spend about 1 or 2 months. But this sold after a few weeks, which I believe is a very good transaction. Then we also have a Dell Optiplex 5060 small form factor PC selling. Something about this Dell, a few weeks ago, I did make a video that, yes, I had a situation where the processor cooler wasn't working properly on one of my Dell machines. And that's the Dell machine right here, you know. So I did go ahead to shop for a new one, which was kind of a little bit of an inconvenience for me. But there was no way I could get this PC listed if I would not get this. But luckily, I did find this on eBay pretty cheap for about 19 euros. I mean, I would have thought that it would have been less cheaper, but sometimes it's what it is. Some of these parts tend to be very, very expensive. So I went ahead, bought a new one, and then it's already fixed on the PC. In this way, I was able to list the PC, tested it to see that everything was working perfectly, and that actually has been done, and the PC has sold and it's going to be shipped out today. I do not need this anymore, but one thing I always try to do, even when items are defective, I always want to keep them in the warehouse because you may never tell. You see, the defective item here is just this mechanism here. If you take a look at it just on the inside, that's what is defective, you know. But it's also possible that I get a PC and somehow, maybe a pin is broken. So I can actually go ahead and take this pin out and put it on it. So this is the reason why, I tend to keep things like this. As long as I still have space in the warehouse, I'm not struggling with space. And if I'm not struggling with space, I can just throw this in some corner to ensure that, look, if the event that I need something like this, I will first take a look if I can remove one or two parts from there. This is also something that you have to do a lot if you sell electronics, because an electronic component cannot be totally defective. If it's the main board is defective, it doesn't remove the fact that there are other small items that you can still bring out from the item. So instead of the fact that this has a defective mechanism inside, this plastic here, they are still very much usable. This metal here, this pin right here, kind of a screw that locks onto the main board, still very usable. I'm just going to keep that on the side. So that's sold. And we also have a Fujitsu Primo P720, which, like you can see, everything's already cleaned out. Make sure that it's ready for the shipped out, which I'm also going to ship any moment from now, because it's about 15 o'clock. It's about 15:20 right now. Delivery driver is going to be here anytime soon. And I've got 4 PCs to actually ship out. Hopefully, I should be able, but 2 of these PCs actually do not need to be shipped out today. It says on eBay, I should actually send this until 29th of January. So one thing I can actually do to go ahead and ship these 2, make sure I pack it very well and prepare it for the delivery drivers. And perhaps before I finish doing this, there might also be some transactions. It's always typical that, look, if eBay is open, just like it has been for my shop for a few days now, it tends to be open for a very long time. All right. In the last 1 week, I have been receiving a lot of sales, and I've been taking advantage of this opportunity, because you never can tell when things are just going to go south again. But if everything stays like this, I really do think that January is just going to be a very record-breaking month, and I am kind of excited about that. Yes, we've also got some few returns, because this is something that I tend to talk about on this channel. It doesn't matter how well you pack your item. It doesn't matter how well the condition of the item. See, these items are in very good condition. They pretty much look like new pieces. If you are not told that these are used pieces, it can easily pass out, for new pieces. The conditions are excellent. There are no signs of use. I mean, there are signs of use here and there, but give or take, these are used pieces, like but then these pieces are in excellent, very good condition, not only optically, but also technically. But then it doesn't matter how decent a job you do. Some people, which I call bad buyers, they always have a way of just messing things up. They're going to go onto eBay, buy your stuff, and then the item gets delivered, and then they just turn around and say, look, I changed my mind, I want to send it back. It's okay to send back items, but understand that for the seller, also some kind of losses, and there's just no way to get around this. If you sell stuff on the internet, there is just that one customer that is going to turn around and return your item. Right now, I have a return that is hanging here on eBay. I'm just going to take a look at what's the total cost of the return. It's a complete PC and actually cost, what was the price? 405 euros. The customer has sent it. I haven't received it. As soon as the item gets delivered, I'm definitely going to make a video, to open it up, and not because I want to make, an evidence for eBay, showing the condition in which the item came, but just for me to see how, buyers could sometimes be very irresponsible. But truth be said, I have also met a lot of decent buyers who, they want to return your items. They make sure they do a very good job. They make sure they pack it the way the item came. The item was delivered to them. And in this way, there are no incidents of the item being broken while in transit. So that's a 405 euro transaction that's hanging there. Hopefully the item gets delivered tomorrow or next. As soon as it gets delivered, I'm going to go ahead and issue a refund to the buyer. If you want to sell computers on eBay, you want to sell electronics, doesn't matter, big electronics, small electronics, you have to be open to receive returns. If you do not offer returns, you're actually going to be scheming yourself out of business, because your competitors are doing the same. And like I said again, I have always preached on this channel, you have to do what the competition is doing. Yes, don't try to reinvent the wheel, because as a matter of fact, everything that works on eBay right now, the top sellers are doing it. So if you just watch what the top sellers are doing and try to replicate that, you are ultimately going to see success. So I'm going to go ahead, pack these pieces just to make sure that the driver doesn't come, waiting. First things first, whenever I have to pack a PC like this, the first thing I always want to do is to make sure that they are well cleaned. And to do that, just have to get some really nice cotton fabric to make sure that, yes, I can actually go ahead, give these items a very decent clean before I can begin to bubble wrap them. This is what I do. You might have a different process for doing yours, but this is what I have found to work for me. And because it works for me, I'm just going to continue to do it. It should be said, I've always gotten very good feedback from buyers because my items tend to arrive very good. I put a lot of effort in making sure that the items are well packed. Sometimes I do receive stuff that I buy also online, but when you see the condition in which the items have been shipped, you cannot just help but complain or wonder how buyers like this are able to actually make it, on the eBay platform. Because I know the eBay buyers, most of them are very much buyers with class. They do not accept shabbily done job like you just send an item shabbily packed, without regards to safety. I feel like a lot of buyers on eBay are pretty much sensitive. If they receive items that are not in very good condition, they are definitely going to go to your review section and leave a review and say, look, the item got delivered. Perhaps the shipping was very, very fast, but the item was in a very, very bad condition. I'm kind of always thinking that this is something that the buyers will do. And as much as I can, I always, want to avoid a situation where I've put a lot of effort in making sure that my items get to the buyer, and then the buyer goes ahead, gives me a bad review just because I haven't shipped the item, in a proper manner. So I'm going to go ahead, do a decent job. Yes, I still have a lot of time. Hopefully in a few minutes, I should get this finished. And if there's any other transaction that comes through today, since I still have time, I'll be able to actually ship it out while also doing this. I'm just going to make sure that this is well bubble wrapped. I've still not been able to get the sellotape I actually do need, but in the next few days, I really do promise to actually get it. This is not what exactly I need because the quality, the last time I used it, it was kind of very, very terrible. I hated the quality of the sellotape. It was so light, and because it's so light, didn't give me the pressure I actually needed. And because of that, I always have to cut it and then use my hand to actually stretch it out. That's not the idea. I'm just going to go ahead, and buy something new as soon as I can get myself to just sit down on the PC, perhaps later today. If you have items that you use on your eBay shop, always make sure that you have these items. Yes, I'm kind of guilty as well. I'm talking about it and I do not have the sellotape I need, but just as a way of encouraging ourselves, if there are items that you use on a daily basis, always ensure that you have a very good supply of this item. Otherwise, you're going to be running into situations where you need one of the items that you use for work and you do not have it. And sometimes it could be very, very, very inconveniencing. All right. So that is in. I've got some remaining packing paper. We're going to first push those in to make sure that it forms kind of a base. Put that in as well. Still gonna show one more here just to be sure that everything is right. All right, what I need now, I need the invoice. Customers will always demand for this. If you do not have it in a package, there's definitely going to be a situation where a customer is going to ask you, send you an email asking, you to send the invoice. So what I always typically tend to do, just to leave the invoice in the packaging. But if you take a look at the edge here, I feel like the edge of the PC is just directly on the carton. So I would like to get something like an additional carton, just to put right there. This should do the trick, because I do not want this PC to fall down and then everything is broken. So if it has an additional layer of protection there, this is very, very good. But at the base here, this is the base of the PC. So anyhow, this base has this standard, which already serves as a base for the PC. So I already did that at the top because I feel like this is the fragile point of the PC. Okay, that being in place, I can then go ahead and throw in my invoice. And before I throw in the invoice, I always want to take a look one more time to be sure that everything is actually the way it should be. And from what I see, it looks like everything is legit. All right. The next thing I have to put now is the cable. And today, unfortunately, I've got a gray cable. Typically, I do not tend to put gray cables for the buyers, but I always tend to put black because it goes directly with the color of the housing of the PC. But in this case, I've got no choice but to just send that like that. I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with the color of the cable. Hopefully not. So I think everything is actually in. But before I close this, I have to make sure that this is properly filled. Guys, I already told you, if you sell expensive items like this, you do not want to be cheap. You want to make sure, you are actually being very generous with the packaging materials that you include in the package, because you never can tell when somebody might want to return your item. And I have seen situations where people do not actually have good packaging materials, so they are going to send back the item with whatever they have, and sometimes it might not be the best experience. So now that all those things, all the packaging paper, the bubble wraps, are all in the package, if this buyer decides for one reason or the other, hopefully not, to return this PC, then he's not going to have a problem with finding quality stuff to return the item. All right, this was an easy one. There are some times where you have to pack these things and just going to be drama everywhere. But like I said, I have been doing this for a very long time. So if you are to start out today, it's definitely something you can learn, but it might entail that you put in some solid reps. You have to do it over a long time, over and over and again, before you can actually pack something like this quite easily. When I started, it was also the same thing. I wasn't so good with packing this, but then fast forward to today, 2025, I can pretty much close my eyes and pack this up, right? Okay, so that being said, next thing now is to include the shipping labels. Then this goes to the side. And once again, I have to start with the bubble wraps. I think I already cleaned this. Just have to clean it one more time because it looks a little bit dusted again. I wouldn't know why, but this is a very beautiful PC. Honestly speaking, I really do think that the buyer is going to be very, very happy when he or she receives this. Okay, so this goes there. Yeah. This goes there just like that. Easy peasy. Now it's time to go into the carton, little boy. It's time to go in the carton. And once again, not to forget the cable. I always want to clean the cable so that everything just appears dust-free. Most annoying thing that people can actually get from you is to send them an item that is actually full of a lot of dust, because typically tables tends to be on the ground, and we do match the cables, and if you are not careful, it's just going to be very dirty. It's not polite to send a customer, a customer that has entrusted you with so much money, just to send a cable that is all dusted out. This is not a good thing to do. All right. So that's that. I still feel I want to put one more, just to be sure that everything is super solid within the box. Okay. And thereafter, I'll go ahead and include the purchase invoice. Once again, just making sure everything is exactly the way it should be. And when that is the case, just going to slide that in before closing the box. Ideally, 2 tons should be fine, but I wouldn't know why I tend to want to use 3 tons, but I feel like it's a kind of wastage of materials. I'm going to take a look one more time to kind of tell myself, that 2 tons of this sellotape should naturally be enough. This is a very good quality sellotape, and I wouldn't want to just waste it for no reason. I think 2 tons should actually, really, really be fine for this job. So that being done, once again, I've got my DHL shipping label. Quality service I've enjoyed in the last, for a very, very long time. Never really had difficulties with the shipping service, and shipping your items premium, this is something that you also want to do. You cannot afford to be cheap, because if you decide to be cheap with the packaging materials that you use, you want to be cheap with your sellotape, you want to be cheap with your cartons, you are definitely going to run into problems. When items like this are destroyed during transportation, we are talking about a loss of well over 1,000 euros, considering all the sales for today. So it doesn't matter if I have to spend 10 euros more, like buying the best materials. I definitely am up for that. All right. I do not want to have difficulties. I do not have headaches. I want to just go home, haven't given the package to the driver. I want to go home with full assurance that the item is going to be delivered. And if the customer is going to return the item, it shouldn't be that it's going to be for reasons that the item was destroyed in transport. That kind of is very, very annoying. And whatever I can do to just, avoid that, I definitely want to do that. I've still got time. The driver is not here. Still got about an hour. Typically, I tend to work till like 5 when the driver comes around. But given that I still have to wait a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and list some few items. I've got some graphic cards right there. I've got some few computers also to list. I've also got a laptop, some hard drives. I hope I can do all this. I've already gotten the template, so this is pretty much what I can do within an hour until the driver comes. The 2 other PCs, for one reason or the other, I won't be sending them out today because it's kind of late. First, I imagine that I'm not able to finish setting it up until 5 when the driver is going to come around. But the main thing is, given that eBay has actually asked me to ship out the item tomorrow being 29th, I feel like I want to leave it at that so as not to kind of stress myself first, or not to be in a hurry. So better come here tomorrow with kind of a relaxed mood and just go ahead, and first start the work shipping those 2 computers. It's been a busy day, but the beautiful thing is that it was also very, very productive. So I'm going to come here tomorrow, first things first, ship out these 2 pieces, and hopefully there are going to be other transactions, but while waiting for the driver now, I still can do these listings, and I'm going to call it quit for today. Yes, I really do think it's a good way to close the day. Until I see you again in the next video, peace.